On Friday, July 7, the D.C. Disciplinary Committee made an unfounded recommendation to disbar Mayor Rudy Giuliani from the D.C. Bar Association. There is a real hatred of President Trump from the radical left. The hatred is unrealistic and has a name: Trump derangement syndrome. They feel that he didn't deserve a lawyer's representation. I guess they don't feel that most American citizens should have representation unless it is something they agree with. On November 4, 2020, Mayor Giuliani was overwhelmed with calls from states telling him about fraud in the election. The Trump campaign was not prepared for the onslaught of calls from the states and the requests to obtain lawyers. Mayor Giuliani received a panicked call from Corey Lewandowski and Pam Bondi that Republican poll watchers were being barred from observing and inspecting mail-in ballots in Pennsylvania. Corey went to court and a judge ruled that the poll watchers will be allowed in the building to observe and inspect the ballots. Unfortunately, a local sheriff would not enforce the judge's ruling. Goodman continues, ordinary American citizens were trying to reach Mayor Giuliani to tell them their stories. 2 attorneys were preparing a brief and were going to court to ask for a hearing. Tragically, the lawyers received death threats and removed themselves from the cases. Mayor Giuliani had to apply for entry in the Pennsylvania board to argue the case. Unbeknownst to him, the brief was changed. The judge in the case would not allow a hearing. To deny a hearing was unheard of. The many poll watchers who swore by affidavits that they were not allowed to inspect ballots deserve to be heard. Pam Bondi arranged for a press conference at Four Seasons Landscaping because she believed it portrayed a middle-class family who has a successful landscaping business. What they were trying to accomplish by getting the truth out was about American justice. Mayor Giuliani was in one courtroom. He had heard from other lawyers in other states they were not given a hearing either. You know, Mayor Giuliani will always do what is right. He believed the witnesses deserved to be heard in front of their state legislators. These hearings with eyewitnesses are now a matter of record and history. By this time, Mayor Giuliani had heard from MIT graduates, physicists, and others that it was statistically improbable for Trump to lose Pennsylvania. Many of these reports were given to the D.C. Disciplinary Committee. They failed to reference any of them. As a country, it is imperative to investigate what happened in the 2020 election. Why Google Workspace for Business is worth the upgrade. In the documentary 2000 Mules, we learned that cheating occurred with the Zuckerberg boxes. In Kill Chain, we learned that Senators Klobuchar and Sanders had concerns about voting machines. The last 7 years we have seen the corruption of the Department of Justice, the courts, and the media. In 2019, Mayor Giuliani was given information about Ukraine. Biden wanted him silenced and sent media outlets a letter to not have Mayor Giuliani on their shows. Mayor Giuliani knew there was no Russian collusion. The radical left, which includes some media outlets, tried to silence Mayor Giuliani's voice. This was incredulous, since you would think the Department of Justice, politicians, and the media would want to hear the truth. Instead, they used over $45 million to investigate Russian collusion when the FBI already knew there was no Russian collusion between Russia and the Trump campaign. Rudy was right. When John McIsaac became frustrated with the DOJ/FBI because they were hiding the crimes on Hunter Biden's laptop, he gave it to Rudy because Rudy is all about combating corruption and putting his country first. Presidential candidate Joe Biden in a debate called Rudy a Russian agent. Who was right about the crimes on the laptop? Rudy was right. Do you see what I am getting at? Rudy is the world's most famous prosecutor and lawyer. He does not care about popular opinion. He does what is right. Mayor Giuliani would never try to overturn an election. Remember, he is the one who stopped another lawyer for suggesting to the president to use the military to seize the voting machines. After hearing from their own citizens, several legislators realized they certified an election that is wrought with concerns. They sent letters to Vice President Pence to give them 10 days to relook at their own states. This was a reasonable request since the certification process belongs to each state's legislature, says Giuliani's co-host on Uncovering the Truth, Dr. Maria. There is a member of the DC Disciplinary Committee, Mr. Fox, who allegedly has had misconduct allegations against him in the past. He is a far-left extremist who tries to hurt conservatives, says someone close to the case who wishes to remain anonymous in fear of retaliation. T's hope lawyers who believe in law and justice will stand up and make it known that Giuliani should maintain his law license. He has been an exemplary lawyer for 50 years. Political bias should not enter the equation.